I'm really excited to have us all here for the Naturopathic Student Fair. And what we're going to be doing now is hearing directly from folks that are in the programs. So I'm really excited. I know that our current students have super busy schedules. Many of them are in the middle of their clinic shifts and had to step aside for a moment. So thank you all for taking some time to be with us today. So if you would mind introducing yourself. So we'll start. I'm just going to go in the order that I see your squares here on my screen. Jorge, if you can start, please just briefly tell folks where you're at and who you are.
Hi, my name is Jorge Morales, and I'm located in Lombard, Illinois, in National University of Health Science, and I'm on my fourth trimester of ND.
Thank you. Yuridia?
Hey everyone, I'm Judith Garcia. I'm a second year ND student here at Vassar University, the San Diego campus.
Lillian?
Yeah, hi there. I'm Lily. I'm from the CCNM Toronto campus, and I am a third year.
Okay, and Gahana?
Hi everyone, my name is Gahana. I am in my very last term of my program at the Boucher campus.
And Anissa?
Hello, my name is Anissa Seha. I'm in Portland, Oregon, and I'm here representing the National University of Natural Medicine.
Fabulous. All right, so basically what we're going to do today, I'm going to actually just stop the share so that we can see the students' faces a little bit bigger. So what we're going to do is just kind of have a little roundtable, and then we'll have a chance for questions and answers afterwards. So we'll start out just with talking about your journey. And so why don't you just share with everyone here how you decided to be an ND student, what that was, so we can start, Yuridia, with you.
Yeah, so I actually didn't know what an ND was until very close into me actually getting into the program and applying for it. I am from Coachella, California, and I did my undergrad out here at UCSD, and I did it in psychology. But I always knew I wanted to be a doctor, so I was doing what's it called? Kind of like Flying Doctors or Doctors Without Borders. So I volunteered abroad at Panama and the Dominican. And while I was out there, there is, of course, like doctors that we would work with. And there was this one doctor that kind of was like very prompt on saying that we should be working more preventatively, because a lot of well, like in the rural communities that we help, they don't have a lot of money for this medicine. So he's like, it's better to get ahead of it and be preventative. And I really like that approach. And I always saw myself as a doctor, you know, working this way. And then when I got back from that trip, I started like looking into different types of paths, like doctors, and how this would be like more incorporated. And that's when I fell upon a book and I read and heard of naturopathic medicine. And once I read it and saw the principles and everything, I fell in love. I was like, this is exactly what I've always seen myself as a doctor practicing. So from there, I actually found out that I lived like 5 minutes away from the Bastyr campus. So it was like meant to be. I applied and I got in, and I'm here, and I'm forever grateful for that trip and finding that book.
Excellent. Jorge.
For me, was basically my own journey with my own health. Previously, about 5 years ago, I started working as a pastor in New Mexico. I was leading out 4 churches, different cultures, and traveling a radius of 250 miles. You can imagine food prep was kind of hard. I was eating outside a lot, sitting and driving a lot of times, sitting in meetings. So I kind of developed a sedentary life, basically. And I went up about to 360 pounds on my weight, and I felt awful during the last 2 years of my pastoral ministry back then. And no doctor could solve my allergies problems, my high blood pressure problems. I was even sent out to a neurosurgeon because I had a disc herniation. And I just decided to find another approach and research on the website and found an ND in my area, visit with her, had my first appointment, which lasted almost 3 hours. Nothing compared to other visits. And in a matter of 6 months, my life was just totally changed, transformed after 2 years of suffering with so many inflammation, allergies, and many other problems. So after that, I took a year gap between deciding whether I want to go as an ND or MD. And I found out the philosophy and the 7 principles of naturopathic medicine. And one that stood out for me was docere, which is doctors as teachers. And that made the huge impact, final decision on me, because that's what I experienced with my ND working through my health. It was not giving me supplements. It was not giving me therapies. It was actually teaching me how to improve my health all the way until today, that I continue improving on a daily basis.
Thank you. Kahana.
So lovely to hear your journeys. My journey, similar to Jorge, started off with my personal health as well. This was back 13 years ago when I moved to Canada by myself as a student. And you can only imagine living by yourself without any close family, having to make your own food, having to make your own money, going to school and doing everything that, basically hustling, but not taking care of myself. And it led to many different health issues that since then I've always been seeking that doctor that I've wanted. And I seeked out, coming from an Indian background, my family is very into botanical medicine, and our family is all about that, and Ayurvedic medicine. And I had to go back to India to get acupuncture treatments because I couldn't find that here. And, the doctors I was seeing they weren't really helping me. And so it was a bit of back and forth. I decided, okay, I don't want to, I want to be the doctor that I wish I had. So I've always just gone into MD focused. I worked for a little bit, and then I moved to UBC in Vancouver to start my undergrad, and always thinking about, getting into MD, but sort of not really fitting into that box. And so since then, I went to career fairs. That's where I kind of knew about the ND program, CCNM in Toronto, and life just completely changed since then. And I started, seeking help. I, came to Dr. Yanez this exact session. I came to, a student fair, and then went to the actual conference, which was held in SCNM at the time. And so really kind of explored the whole ND and just found it, okay, this can't be true. So I had to do a lot more research. This was just too good to be true. But since I went to the schools, really connected with the students, connected with the doctors, just knew that this is meant to be. And since then, I've really looked into my journey, but this program has not only helped me heal myself, but it's given me the ability to heal everybody around me. So I'm forever thankful to this program and everybody who is spearheading it and leading the way for us.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Lily.
Yes. So I feel like everyone has a health journey kind of thing. But for me, it was really just being interested in the human body and just how things work, how we move, what happens once we eat our food. So just having more of a fascination with the body and health and science. I, in high school, knew I wanted to go into the health field. So what made me look into naturopathic medicine was actually a career cruising type website where you just look at different things. And it's if you think about PT, consider this option and this option. And then at some point I went down and found myself in the naturopathic medicine information center. And so then I was oh, this is really interesting. I've never heard of this. And so then I looked into seeing if there are naturopathic doctors around me. And so I'm actually from Michigan, but I'm going to school in Toronto. So I'm an international student, but in Michigan, we aren't licensed. So it was really interesting to meet up with naturopathic doctors and hear about the profession in an unlicensed state. And then I've done some shadowing since then. And in undergrad, I really worked and tried to find different things that I could do to try to help with my learning or preparation for naturopathic medical school. So like some of those things was just being an exercise science major, volunteering in different health areas. So I volunteered at the YMCA and did some nutritional things, did some physical, like I worked with physical trainers and things like that. So throughout my journey, it's just like, it helped me to decide that it's like, yes, I do want to go the alternative complementary medicine route. Although it's not naturopathic medicine in seeing it from a naturopathic doctor, but I was really excited to see and to shadow naturopathic doctors, even if they weren't working under their full scope, but just having the questions in mind, okay, what's going on with this patient? What can we do? And seeing it in a much more holistic lens is really what brought me all the way here. So checking through each step and checking in with myself to see if this is really where I want to be. And then I found myself applying, found myself at naturopathic medical school and in Toronto, which is very kind of surprising to myself, but I've enjoyed every step of the way.
Awesome. Thank you, Anissa.
Hey, so for me, I have always been kind of attracted to the health field as well, as a lot of you probably have been. And I was actually in nursing school at the University of San Francisco, got into a partnership with University of California, San Francisco, which is was really why I had gone to that program. And then a year into that, I was actually diagnosed with lymphoma. And so I had to take a break to do chemotherapy. And it was really during that time that I realized the power of natural medicine and how I actually wasn't as healthy as I thought I was before, and really like having to grapple with kind of that existential crisis and what it means to be healthy really led me to naturopathic medicine. I'm also a Latina, so it's really big in my culture. And so I was really lucky to have the guidance of my family and have them be able to advocate for me. But since California doesn't take insurance for NDs, I wasn't able to afford one at the time. And so that accessibility piece is really important to me. And that's why I chose to study in Oregon, because we are full scope primary care practitioners here, and we are able to take insurance. And so I've been involved in like some pay parity legislation so that we get paid equally. And so I've been really just enjoying the journey that I've had. And we've learned a lot about how we're able to support people going through chemotherapy and through cancer. And so that's really where I see my path leading me. But yeah, it's been great.
Thank you so much. And Stephen.
Hello, everyone. Going by Stevie now.
Stevie, sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, so I came into naturopathic medicine through just studying yoga and Ayurveda myself. I'm actually a yoga therapist. I have been a yoga well, first of all, I've been a yoga teacher for over a decade. But I do have a master's degree in yoga therapy. So I've been working clinically in that capacity for the past 6 years or so. And I love yoga. I love Ayurveda. But as I worked as a yoga therapist, I've gone through amazing training in regards to being a yoga therapist, but I just, in my heart and soul felt like I needed more knowledge. I'm not disparaging yoga therapy in any capacity. I full-heartedly believe, in mind-body medicine. And I think that is at the root of a lot of disease is the first of all, the mind really not being addressed in clinical care. And so mind-body practice is huge in healing many diseases, or in the very least, having a better quality of life. So mind-body practice is a huge passion of mine. But I began in working with people with very complex illnesses as a yoga therapist, feeling like I need more knowledge. And boy, are we getting that in naturopathic school. It's, for those of you that are looking into this, this is very much medical school. We're taking the same basic sciences as our fellow MD and DO counterparts. And so, yeah, so in my work as a yoga therapist, I just had this draw towards naturopathic medicine as yoga and Ayurveda are I would say, natural healing arts as well. And so just had this natural inclination toward naturopathic medicine, knowing that I think that there's a better way that medicine can be practiced that's not at all to disparage our allopathic or osteopathic counterparts, but there's a real integration in all of this that can help really provide people with the tools the tools for optimal health along their healing journey that maybe some of our allopathic counterparts don't get as much training in. So that's where I wanted to invest my time and money. And so, yeah, that's why I'm here on this naturopathic journey.
Thank you, Stevie. So what we're going to do next, and if we can keep answers kind of shorter so that we can get to all of the panelists and get to all the questions if possible. So the next question, and I'm just going to go in reverse order. So Stevie, you're up first, is if you were to give yourself advice before you started this program, or advice to a prospective student, like the folks who were here in the audience, what would you tell yourself before you started?
I really, I know health is a continuum, first of all, but the major recommendation that I would make to anybody sincerely, genuinely wanting to go into medical school, regardless of whether it's naturopathic, osteopathic, or allopathic, or chiropractic, is please get your health in order as much as possible, because the truth of the matter is, I don't think that I really recognized how much these programs can deplete your own health. And that's just giving you an honest answer. I don't think there's really anything that can prepare you for medical school, but if you can work before applying to this program to support your health as optimally as possible, it's only going to benefit you in the long run. So that would have been that's my first bit of advice. My second bit of advice is really to know how, at least have some semblance of an idea of how you would like to practice. So I started naturopathic school at National in Chicago, and then I transferred to SCNM. And I did that because I really wanted access to the full scope of practice, knowing that I would like to be able to have more knowledge of, and in some instances, be able to prescribe pharmaceutical medications if I need to do that, if that's clinically indicated in certain scenarios. And so I wanted to be exposed to practicing in a state where we can view somebody from all of the perspectives that we gain in naturopathic school. So that's the main reason why I did that. And I would really highly ask all of you here to think about that and make all of these considerations based off of the various scopes of practice in the various states where the schools are. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. And Anissa, what advice would you either give to yourself or a future student?
Yeah, I kind of want to just touch upon the health piece as well, because I think that is really important. I don't tend to think of myself as somebody who stresses very much, and I am a little bit more intellectually inclined. Like, I get basic sciences and bio a little bit easier than other people, but the program just comes inherently with so much stress. And so I think just like more proactively taking my adaptogens and, just like taking care of my health a little bit more proactively, and making sure to have routine in place for yourself, or you meal prep and you're getting enough movement and you're kind of prioritizing those things, because at the end of the day, your grades don't matter as much as like your state of mind and how you're cultivating yourself as a healer and practitioner. And so that's something that I've kind of had to come to terms with, that I wish I would have realized a little bit earlier, is that the grades don't matter as much as your cultivation and who you're shadowing and the connections you're making with both people who are practicing and your colleagues and all of those things. And so I think that balance and making sure that you're content, not only socially, but emotionally, physically, is really, I think, very important.
Thank you. Lily.
Yeah, so pretty much in the same vein, I think for me, the biggest thing about this program is it's hard. Like, I came from a pretty good background, similar to you and Nisa, I am pretty strong in the sciences. It does help you out, but at the same time, it's an exhausting program. You're taking on so many more classes and it's go, 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 go. And so it's just reminding yourself throughout time that this is yes, obviously becoming a naturopathic doctor is something that's important, but taking time to really enjoy the moment, the process, the journey, and being with the people around you. Community is such an important thing to me. And I think that's something that CCNM has a really big presence in, is just people caring for each other, checking in with one another, taking time for yourself to just de-stress, if that's being with people or without people, but taking that moment to really just live in the moment instead of stressing for the next thing or really being so bogged down, just taking a time to really see what your body needs. If it is that movement, if it is taking more adrenal support and things like that, because your stress levels are so high, just doing what you need to get yourself through. Because if you are so stressed out about exams and your things, you're going to burn out so much sooner. But you have people around you, you have support. So relying on other people is something that I think is really important.
Thank you, Gahana.
All right. So for me, the two biggest things is I'm talking to here people who haven't decided yet. I would say shadow as many NDs and think about what you really want to do after you graduate. It's not just about getting through medical school and being a doctor, but how do you really want to practice, as Stevie mentioned? And think about your why, because you really need a good why to be able to get you through this grueling program and face all the hardships that are going to come to you. And as you've heard, the programs are hard. This is basically medical school. And in fact, I would say, we do more than learning about pharmaceuticals. We do so many more modalities. So it's even more grueling, I would say. And, but yeah, in terms of, I would totally support everybody's that have mentioned this already, looking into your own health, going to your teaching clinic in your school. Really, you're learning as well while you're still taking care of yourself. And that's a huge thing, because we're so focused on taking care of everyone else, we really forget to take care of ourselves. And I heard this from, one of these, situations where I heard it from a past student. But I didn't really know the value of that until I started facing my own health issues, even through the program, and started taking care of my health and really saw the benefits of that and how it's helped me get through this wonderful but also grueling program.
Thank you, Jorge.
For me, something that I will have liked to know before coming into medical school, it was somebody telling me, develop new habits, shape your habits at the moment, so you can, when you enter, you will be able to even reshape those habits according to the program requirements, because you do have a lot of responsibilities through the days and commitments. It's not only sitting in class, but also the amount of hours that you have to put in and study. That will be my number two advice, because number one, I totally agree with all of you. Make sure you do have a healthy habits, eating habits, exercising habits, because you need that in order to get some time off from school. And the third thing I will say is sometimes one thing that stopped me before starting was I was afraid of whether I could do it or not. You know, it's naturopathic medicine. I actually watched some of the videos pre-recorded of students talking and everything, but I was concerned about whether I will be able or not. And let me just tell you, you will be able as much as you are able to change your habits and discipline yourself, because that's the key for success. Organization, good habits, and make sure you do have a healthy habits on eating and exercising, and you will get through this. There are days that you feel burnout. Know and acknowledge that your body's telling you, go sleep, go rest. But there are days that you have to put the extra effort. And I think just balancing that out, it has shaped and changed my game as I'm going through basically finals in this 2 weeks right now.
Thank you. And Yuridia.
Yeah, so I have like two quick, I guess, like tips or advice that I would have wanted to know or for you guys to know. And they kind of like piggyback off of like what everyone already said. And I feel like the first one is just, be kind to yourself. Like there's just so much always going on. So you just have to exactly, you have to be kind to yourself. You have to see where it's like, okay, I need to stop pushing myself because I can't, I'm not even retaining anything right now. Instead of just being like, no, I can't take a break or things like that. You just have to be kind, know when to take those breaks, know when to be like, okay, I need to step away from all this and go outside for a second. And that really helps out a lot more. And my second one was, don't be afraid to reach out for help. Never be afraid to reach out for help. There's always someone there that will want to help you. If it's either a peer or there's TAs usually for office hours, teachers, counselors. There's a lot of people who want to help you succeed and are there to kind of help you go along. Just again, never be afraid. I did that when in my undergrad. I was very scared to reach out and I struggled a lot through it. And then I learned that coming into this, where I was like, if I might at least to even hear someone else be like, yeah, this is really hard, I'm struggling too. That helps out. That helps out too. So just don't be afraid to reach out, talk to someone. But yeah, it's very doable. I know it is very hard. I was reading some of the comments. It is hard, but just like a previous peer of mine said, if you have the motivation, if this is something you really want to do, if this is something you love, and if this is your passion, you'll get through it and you'll love it, even though you're dying at the same time, because it's so much.
So that's a really fabulous point. I think, knowing when you need to ask for help is super important. And that's one of those life tools that really will differentiate sometimes if you can make it or not make it. I think all of the ND schools absolutely have support centers. They have career counselors. I know when I have convened groups of the career advising, one of their biggest complaints is that the students come to them too late. They come, a few weeks before they're set to graduate, and all of these folks are available the entire time throughout the program. They can start helping you on business plans, helping you put together your resumes, helping you prepare for interviews, helping you understand what type of career in naturopathic medicine might be best for you. But you got to go to them. They can't force you. So it's all available, but it really is up to you to take the initiative and ask for help. And the help is absolutely there. So the next thing, and we'll maybe just jump around real tight answers here, because I do want to leave some time for question and answer. And it goes into one of the questions that just popped in, which was from someone who has a family. And Joanna, if you'd be able to pop in the career changers webinars and some of the career changer information into the chat for that person who had the question about family. But can we maybe just talk a little bit about balancing academics and profession and school and life and all of that, just kind of real tight answers, maybe a sentence or two each. So Yuridia, por favor, please.
Yeah. it's something you're gonna have to, like, you're gonna learn it on the way. You can't just go into day one and be like, this is how everything's gonna be balanced. It is hard. It's time management, literally just time management. You have to know I'm in class from here to here, and pretty much focus on that. I was reading the question. I don't have a family, but I do live with my boyfriend, and I'm the one who cooks and cleans and everything. So it is a struggle to be like, oh, I need to be in class, but I need to do this. So there's not one correct answer, one correct thing. It's just kind of like you kind of have to go with it and learn how to time management. That's all I can say. It's learning how to put things into like kind of more like bubbles. Like, this is work, this is school. I'm gonna take a break here. That's pretty much the only thing I could say on that.
Thank you, Jorge.
I'll say that Yuridia hits on the nail because it's time management and balancing out. I do live with my wife here. We moved together over here. It was hard at the beginning because we were both trying to find jobs since we moved from New Mexico all the way to Illinois. But it worked out. And one of the things that I do since I was a pastor and since I was even in undergraduate school, when we got married, we came to an arrangement on having a date a week, afternoon or evening type date. And I do not miss that out, no matter how busy you can be. That's your time with your spouse. We chose, because it works this trimester for me, we chose Saturdays evening. That's the only time I do not do anything related to school, but it's all about my wife, my family. And it's about that. That's just a simple example that I can give you. It's about knowing how to balance and how to manage your time properly without forgetting about your spouse or your partner that you live with.
Thank you, Gahana, or anyone else if you want to jump in.
For sure, yeah. I'll speak to two things here. One is living without family, living by yourself. Because for the first 2 years of the program, I was basically living by myself. And I found that actually when I went to meet my, fiance or my boyfriend's family, it really gave me such a relief from, like having to just do schoolwork. So it's actually, amazing to be able to have family around and like really kind of like, as you say, take some time for self-care is so important. The other one I would say is I don't have kids myself, but I've seen many of my classmates have kids, men and women, come into the program, and they've just chosen to do maybe an extended time for the program, maybe 5 years instead of 4. They've been able to do it. It's just about them being able to see how they can manage their own individual time. Again, going back on that time management thing. Yeah.
Anyone else want to jump in on that one?
Sure. So I think for me, and this is maybe a little yogic practice for everyone, starting medical school is going to be a huge mindset shift. I know that I went into medical school with all these expectations about how I should perform, so to speak. I was attached to these ideas about the way things should be. Throw all of that out the door. Because it's just, we have our reality of how we expect things to be, and then the reality of what is in medical school. And so I found myself a lot of times having to like reshift my own expectations to be more in alignment with what is actually happening. Because there's just no use in causing yourself more pain, more stress, more anxiety, trying to meet your own expectations when they don't align with the reality of the program. So I say all that to say, be open with changing, shifting, and evolving throughout this program. That's to be open in that capacity is going to lead to way less stress. This program's already stressful enough. We don't need to be putting more on ourselves. So I will say
love that the yoga therapist talked to us about flexibility.
Thank you. Thank you. I will say it took me there's different schools that do semesters or quarters. I think the majority of us do quarters, but the first semester or quarter is a huge life awakening when you get shot with all these basic sciences. And even I would say the first year, the first year is a massive readjustment. So just allow yourself the time to grow and evolve and make adjustments, and don't harm yourself in the fact that, oh, if you fail one exam, or if you don't pass one exam, use that as a learning to move on and think about how you can proceed in a better way. Yeah, so I think, yeah, the mindset shift is a huge thing here. So just get ready for that.
All right. Anyone else want to jump in on that one before we move on to the next question? All right. So the last question is, what are some things either you're doing to prepare yourself for post-graduation, or if you want to talk about your post-graduation plans? And we can start with Yuridia.
That's funny because I have no idea. I've thought about residency. I've thought of like going into like specific kind of like practices of like, I've thought like female hormones and this and that. But honestly, at this point, I don't really know. I do want to start preceptorships and all that. And I feel like that will help me way more. And I also do want to say I am in my second year. I do feel like I have 2 more years to figure it out. It's also like kind of like undergrad, you're in this path, but still at the end of it, what are you going to end up with? I don't really know. Sorry about that.
No, don't apologize. It's actually really important what you said about preceptoring, because it's so important to see there are so many different ways that you can practice as a naturopathic doctor, so many different path possibilities. And so it's really important, I think, to shadow as many folks as you possibly can over holiday breaks, over summer breaks, like anytime you have a chance. If you're traveling, go and see if somebody has a chance to, if you can pop in for a half a day and see a practice, because it's just as important to know what you don't like as what you do. I remember when I was in naturopathic school and residency, I absolutely adored women's medicine and labor and delivery. I did not adore, which I found out very quickly, being on call 24/7. And so I realized for myself, I'm like, okay, that's something that I don't want from a lifestyle perspective. And so that knocked out a bunch of different types of practices for me personally that had that constant on-call component. And so, I think it's just as important to know what you love and what you don't love, so that you can better hone your own skills and abilities. So super important. Anyone else want to pop in on that one?
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
Because it's so relevant to exactly this. And please don't feel bad about not knowing what you want to do after you graduate, because my things changed since I started the program. I wanted to focus on healing my health and, really figuring out what people like me, or, facing the same situation or facing the health, situations as me, what do they do, right? But I had also had this other passion for like cancer treatments and cancer research and things like that. And so my focus during undergrad was actually like an integrated program that I did to understand cancer biology. And I did, a bunch of work experience and research involvement in cancer biology. And it wasn't until third year, like the end of third year, that I was actually exposed to the naturopathic oncology field, when one of my professors came in and she taught us. And it was, so you may not find that early on, like I found it third year, and now I'm actually preceptoring with them, and I want to get into the residency program with them, which I'm really super excited about. So it's, it's a process, and you don't have to know everything from day one. And so I would really support you going to preceptor. Like if you find a professor that's teaching you something that you really love and you find yourself learning about it, even, time insensitive, or like, doesn't matter, you're like spending so much time on it because you're so passionate about it, just follow that direction. And like preceptor with that professor or preceptor in that field, that's going to really truly help you figure out what you want to do.
Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in?
I'll jump in here.
Go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Stevie. For me, I just finished my first year, and for me, it's a different path. Although I don't have yet a set plan, like we have been talking here, since like everyone has gone through this journey same way. I'm dual student, so it will depends a lot on when I graduate and all that. But something that I envision and that I have been thinking of, it's having my own practice after having practiced for about 5, 6, 7 years with other doctors right after graduation. I do have in my plans to do residency. However, I don't know how that plays yet with my dual program, but it's something to look up. And I think suggesting to have a vision is good, but being open, and I think Stevie was the one to mention this, being flexible to changes, I think that's key here. Because it is, as you go through classes, you will find out you're interested in certain things that you were not interested in the past. So you have to explore that even more in order to decide whether it's for you or not.
Thank you. So we've got just a couple more minutes left in this session before we're going to wrap up and let the students go back to class and clinic. Anyone have any last parting words for the folks that have joined us today?
Do we have time to answer the question? I think somebody asked a question.
Oh,
are we
yeah,
doing
sure.
Q&A?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to address the question. I'm trying to scroll through and see where it was. Somebody asked the question about surviving medical school with a chronic health condition. I can speak to that.
Okay.
So I don't mind sharing that I'm diagnosed with Addison's disease, which is adrenal insufficiency, which is quite rare. But I got diagnosed with that in 2017, I believe. So it's interesting that I'm going through medical school with adrenal insufficiency, because we all have, it seems like, deficient adrenals going through this program, but I have the big diagnosis of it. Yeah, stress management is going to be key. If you don't have any major like stress management protocols, so to speak, in place, get those in place now. Of course, I'm a huge proponent of yoga. I think everybody should do yoga, and I think I think yoga is, accessible to everyone. So find a style of yoga or Tai Chi or some mind-body practice that resonates with you. Have whatever connects you spiritually. Stay connected with that, because quite frankly, studying these basic sciences, sometimes it can feel so disconnecting. Like, why do I have to study these little minute details about biochemistry or whatever the case may be? It can be a little soul depleting sometimes to be just like, what is the connection with all of this? So please stay connected spiritually in whatever way resonates with you in that manner. And yeah, getting back to the question of how to survive, medical school with a chronic health condition, you will be able to get the ADA. You will be able to get ADA accommodations, which may give you more time on an exam, may give you more time on a practical. You will have to get medical documentation from a physician to get those accommodations, but accommodations are 100% available to you.
I do want to just jump in, Stevie, really quick about the accommodations piece.
Yes.
So the schools all have accommodations because learning is accessible, should be accessible for everyone. Licensing agencies don't always have the same bar for accommodations because you have to be able to practice as a licensed professional, and there are time-bound components to being a licensed professional. And so sometimes the metrics aren't exactly the same, where folks, we do hear from students occasionally. So I would check on both ends of that to make, not to make an assumption that if you're getting testing accommodations at the program, that it will for sure be there at the testing agency. But yes, absolutely, there are accommodations available for all. And I did see Anissa had her hand raised as well.
Yeah, I also just wanted to add, I'm a student government president right now. And so we are really trying to advocate at our school to be a little bit more accommodating to people with chronic health diseases and make sure that everybody is treated equitably. And the school has been so far very receptive to that. And so I think just really building those connections, making sure that people are aware of your situation, and just like being honest with yourself about your capacities, because there is the ability to go on a 5-year track, right, where you're a little bit less stressed. And a lot of people who I know that have chronic diseases are able to get through the program, especially with those accommodations. So it's totally possible. Just make sure you're, in the right headspace and down for the stress that comes with it. And I also wanted to touch on Vivek. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name right, but she said, people who have expressed interest in other modalities. I just wanted to kind of just say that the beautiful thing about naturopathic medicine is that it's not based off modality, right? It's based off these 6 principles where nature, you have this natural ability to be able to heal your body. And so if we can identify what's disturbing that health, then you can allow the body for that natural healing force, that vitality to come through. And so the beautiful thing is you're able to practice any modality that calls to you, right? So there's like traditional nature cure, which is hydrotherapy, homeopathy, all of these different things. But if Ayurveda is something that interests you, or acupuncture is something that interests you, then you're able to pursue those as well. And so that's, I think, why a lot of people end up choosing ND, because your toolbox, your toolkit is so huge, and you can really use whatever you're attracted to.
Well, I am recognizing that we're 3 minutes past time that we said. So I do want to recognize the students who joined us today. Thank you so very much for stepping away from your studies to help folks in their own journey to becoming a naturopathic doctor. So I honor you and your paths, and I'm so thankful for you all sharing your stories, sharing your personal health journeys, sharing all of the things that you have today, and the advice and guidance. Stevie, Jorge, Yuridia, Gahana, Lily, Nisa, thank you. So appreciate that. And for folks who are still here, we're going to be starting the alumni panel in about 11 minutes. So stay tuned, go ahead and take a stretch break, go and grab some water, and we'll be back with the alumni panel in just a little bit. So thank you so very much. And I see some folks are popping in their emails if you want to reach out to the students if they've provided their emails for you. So thanks again, and we'll be in touch soon.